Are you looking for inspiration or writing advice? Then you're going to want to stick around because today we're going to be chatting about what are problems that writers are trying to avoid. Like the last 2 days, we're going to be doing a deep dive as I'm going to be answering live writing questions. But first, we're going to hop into our one of two 20-minute writing sprints as we get some creative writing done. I am on day 81. Welcome to Kauffman Writes, day 81 of my 366-day challenge of writing 30 minutes a day. So we're going to hop straight into it. Let's see in the comments. Hey, what's up, Atomic? Welcome, welcome, my friend. And speaking of Atomic, I'm to it. I'm getting close to the midpoint on my story. As you can see from the bottom, I'm almost, I want to say I hit 51,000 words today. I'm very close to reaching the midpoint as the scarecrow, the crow, and the pixie are converging in the Colosseum of the Last. All right, so let me throw this up. I am already on my end. All right, perfect. And where did we leave off yesterday? Our pixie, who was traveling with the 3 dragonkin, the 2 dragonkin got ambushed, red and blue. Red was captured while blue was severely hurt. Gold Scales had to leave the Colosseum with blue to go save blue's life, while Pixie, our Pebble, is now faced with not only saving Scarecrow, but saving the dragonkin Red as well. Hey, what's up, Silent? Welcome, welcome. I'm just getting into my writing sprint, yo. Feel free to tag along if you want to get some writing done, or we're going to see what happens to our. We're going to see what happens to our characters today. It's getting very close to things are about to blow up, so we'll see if I can get there. All right, 20 minutes on the clock. I'm going to throw music a little bit. Nice. All right, 20 minutes, and let's write. Okay. Okie dokie. That was a good little writing sprint. I feel very, very successful with that one. I was asking myself, ah, how specifically I wanted this escape. Granted, considering that the title of this chapter is literally called The Great Escape. We're pondering how the Great Escape is going to happen. So we'll continue this shortly in sprint number 2. So we'll come back to writing sprint number 2. Let's take a little break. All right, 10 minutes on the clock. Boom. So, oh man. By the way, how are all y'all doing today? How's the writing creating all y'all? All right. So as we hop over to a break, my question of the day that I posed to you, if you've been joining me the last couple of days, what are you trying to avoid as a writer? So, what we're going to do, I'm going to throw up my other screen over here, and I'm going to answer some live writers' questions through one of the questions that I posted on socials. And awesome. All right, let me make sure that this is set up correctly. All right, perfect. And let's get this thrown up here. All right, awesome. So what? Oh, actually, I'm going to change this banner slightly. Let's scroll that. There we go. So what are you trying to avoid as a writer? Let's talk through it. I would love to give you some strategies and values to help you out with your own writing. Trying to avoid cliches and block. Oof. Cliches, always a challenge one. Who doesn't want to have a story full of stereotypes and cliches? So, writing cliches, when I think of the stereotypes and cliches are just that for a reason. It's because they've been used so consistently, so predominantly that they become overused just over time through stories, through storytelling. Now, I think the great thing is that there's always a way to do something new with a cliche. We've seen, if let's think of something like a stereotypical fantasy story, right? We've seen elves, we've seen goblins, we've seen trolls done hundreds of times by this point in time. Yet there continues to be work, there continues to be stuff that's put out there consistently where it's done well. So during the rough draft process, when I'm working on my writing, if I have a character or if I have like a plot line or story where I feel like, okay, this feels like it's going to be a little too stereotypical, I leave it. I leave it alone for the first rough draft because the goal of the rough draft, have fun, get the story out. Don't hold back because you want to put whatever comes to mind in the rough draft. Now, when you go back and you're like, this character feels kind of like a cliche. Let me try to think of a character from there's actually a character that I felt was a little too much of a cliche. Oh, Pixie, the Pixie character I'm using, right? So when we think of pixies, right, and I think of notable pixies or notable fairy type characters, I'm like, all right. So when people think of a fairy, what do they think of? Maybe they think of something from like Disney, or maybe they think of the more notable, like light-hearted, kind fairy creatures. Um, and I knew that. So if I'm subverting expectations, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a fairy pixie type creature who sucks at being a fairy, who doesn't remember anything, and is kind of a loudmouth. So I gave her traits knowing what the cliche is or knowing what the stereotype is for that character to subvert expectations and change her character type. Now, sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't, but that's the thing that you can play around with. If you have something that's a little more stereotypical, I think a great example is the Avatar movie. Not the Last Airbender, but the blue people with the Navi. It's literally a Pocahontas story, but it was literally redone and retold in a way using CGI and special effects and all the things where it felt fresh. So play with different ways to change it and make it feel different. And sometimes it's not actually a bad thing to have some cliches in your writing because certain cliches and certain things are tropes and types that readers are actually used to and can relate with. Now, if your entire thing's a cliche, that's going to be too much. But trying to find balance, I find, is really good exercise. Ooh, and then writer's block. It's interesting because I see so many people deal with writer's block for so many different reasons, right? It could be maybe I don't want to deal with my writing. Maybe I'm stuck at some point that I'm trying to work on. Maybe I'm busy with life or I'm like stuck with life and I'm just trying to make excuses, or maybe I'm too tired. I think at heart, you want to figure out A, what are you putting off? What's the reason that you have writer's block? Is it because you don't want to work on the end of your story? Could be it. Usually we end up giving ourselves writer's block when there's a challenge in our storytelling that we feel like it's going to take too much work or too much time for us to overcome. And then we're trying to balance that with, oh, I have a 40-hour week job. I'm a full-time student. I have a job. I have all these responsibilities. And then it becomes even more of an internal struggle. So my suggestion is make things easy. Make it easy. If you are putting off working on something, how can you make it easier for yourself? If you're putting off writing the end of your novel and you're dealing with writer's block as a result, then how can you make the end of the novel easier? How can you add something fun to the storytelling? I know a very popular one is editing. A lot of writers don't like to edit because it can be time consuming. I try to use a creative process when editing, and I'll like map out all my stories, the characters, the world, the structure, the whole shebang. And then it gives me a reason to have fun as I'm editing. Because something I like to keep in mind is that when something feels mundane, when it feels repetitive, when it feels like work, we tune out. I know I tune out because I don't want to feel like I'm doing more work. I want to feel like I'm having fun with my storytelling process. But being a writer can take work. So balancing the work out with the thing that you love about writing and then making that easier for yourself, that's the key to success right there. So that's all for you. So I hope that helps out un poquito. I understand writer's block all too well. Sometimes it's so easy to get trapped on social media in our quest to find inspiration. Let's see, what do I have? Oh, this is actually a good one. Trying not to rush to the ending. Does that ever happen to you where you're working on your story and you're like so excited about like how you're going to get to the ending and then you feel like the scenes in between sound rushed? That actually sounds like so I actually like that. I'm not actually seeing that as a con personally. I was like trying to rush to the ending just means that you have a really good story to tell. That's kind of how I feel with Last Scarecrow. I'm kind of trying to like get to the midpoint because I want y'all to see what's gonna happen at the midpoint because I've been excited for a couple weeks now once I've like seen it in sight. And I know I'll get to that same feeling once I get close to the ending as well. Oh, did it with trying to like put off with the ending? Yeah. Were you able to overcome it, or are you still trying to, like, figure out how to, like, tie it off? Yeah, that definitely happened to me a lot more when I was working on I wanna say when I was doing, like, 60-hour work weeks through jobs, and then trying to balance that with trying to, like, finish my scripts, and then I wouldn't do it, and then I'd feel guilty, and then I would procrastinate, and then I'd feel guiltier, then I'd get back to it right away, and then I just got in this, like, horrible, horrible cycle. When in reality, if I had figured out a way to just make it easier on myself, I could have just hopped past all that guilt, depression and all that nonsense within myself. Let's see. Writing to impress or impact, writing to draw other people's attention, or building a well of retention in them. Mm, I could see that actually, right? So it's like if you're working on a story, are you developing the story for yourself? Are you developing the story for other people? And trying to find that balance can be really challenging. A problem that I see a lot of new writers have is the reason a lot of their dialogue and characters feel flat is because they're trying to tell the reader what they want to happen instead of the characters themselves feeling like three-dimensional beings or three-dimensional believable characters. I definitely say that. And yeah, I could All right. I thought that was a really good one because it is so challenging, especially when we're trying to put out books that we want to get published and we want people to read our stuff, right? But we also don't we want our stories to be believable. Let's see. Oh no, it's already done. Got into and everything. But I know I'll have the same issue with Raging Inferno. Not so much with Shifting Flame. But that's awesome, Soul, that you were able to overcome it. That's really awesome because there's a lot of writers out there who get to that who get to maybe that like anywhere between 50 to 70%, and then they aren't able to finish the story because they keep putting it off. And I'm starting to see the more writers that I'm actually been connecting with this year, how common a problem it is with finishing stories. I didn't realize how widespread and how consistent that problem in is itself. There could be any number of reasons. Maybe it's because we're too busy with life, or maybe we don't like endings, or maybe it's too much work. But regardless of it, it's it's a process. I know I have the same issue. Mm, yeah, I think. Mm, Yeah, I think it just comes down to having an I think it just comes down to having an outline and then being willing to flex if you feel like you're at a point in your story where you're bored. Too many times writers like get to a point in their story and they're bored and they're like trying to get through it, but then they're like, "Okay, well, I just need to get this the next part." But I'm like, "No. If you find part of your story boring, change it." I'm gonna like repeat this louder. If you're a writer and you find a part of your story boring, change it. Do something. If you're bored of your story, even if it's like a scene, people are gonna be bored of it as well, right? And maybe that comes down to like doing something completely different. Maybe it comes down to doing like different adjustments or fine tuning. And if it doesn't make sense during the rough draft, it's all right. You can go back and fix it. You can always fine tailor it and tune it towards your overall story that you're telling, the world, the characters, or whatever on the rewrite. Yeah, have fun. Let's if if there's one thing that I try to like reiterate with writing, it's just enjoy the process, because the writing process, it's the one thing I have always loved. My heart goes out to writing. Oh man, but yeah, so good luck. I know how much work you've been putting into your story development process, especially with this series. But definitely good luck. If when you get to that next like point in the next story where you're procrastinating, I'll be here to offer you free inspiration. Because I feel all your pain. All right, so that was some good little writing stuff. Let's see. I am eager to get back into Last Scarecrow. But before we hop it back into Last Scarecrow, are you enjoying the stream? Don't forget to follow and subscribe. I do this live stream every single day for writers, writing inspiration, writing advice every single day. These streams generally tend to last about 1 to 2 hours. So I'll be here right now, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Saturday, Sunday, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I'll be here. And yeah, so don't forget to tap that, and that way you'll be notified when I go live through Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or platforms. All right, so let's hop straight into daily writing sprint number 2. So if you're just joining me, feel free, if it's been a long week, to just sit back, vibe with the music, and I'll write vicariously for the both of us. Or maybe you have some work to do and you need to develop, write, edit, whatever. Join me in the writing process as we hop into writing sprint number 2. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by, Jessica. I appreciate you. Good luck with what you got going on. All right, writing sprint number 2. Let's cue up the music. Let's go back to. All right. Yep. This is what I'm feeling. Tish Bouvet. Working on my cozy mystery. Hey, what's up, Tish? Welcome to the stream. A cozy mystery. That actually sounds fun. But what is a cozy mystery? I love mysteries, by the way. I kind of challenge myself. I'm like, could I write a mystery at some point that would like be something people haven't heard of? Maybe. But that sounds fun, actually. By calling a mystery cozy, it makes it feel a little more warm and inviting. I like that. Good luck with your writing. I hope it's coming along well. Let's see. Let me throw back up. I have a screen. And here we go. Back to our timer. All right. So we're going to reset our 20-minute timer. Perfect. 20 minutes on the clock. I got a scarecrow to save, so we're going to hop right into it. And let's write. I was trying to decide if I liked that. I was like going back and forth. I'm like, all right, so as we're thinking of what this escape plan looks like, we have the arena where the scarecrow and all of the prisoners are being kept in this holding area, these holding cells. And then we have the majority of the primates are next door down below in a eating dining type area celebrating. And then we have a group of primates outside. There's going to have to be some surrounding the perimeter. And then in terms of the saviors, Pebble was last attacked by, not attacked, but was near the entrance as she came upon a primate. And then the other two, the otter and the squirrel, went in another direction. So we're going to return back to Pebble tomorrow on the next part of this escape plan. And we're going to see how it goes. I was like, I think it sounded interesting. I wanted Crow and Skunk are going to be stuck dealing with the Tiger King, who, as we've seen from the Tiger King so far, is not a very kind character. Clearly, all we've seen him is rip animals' heads off. So we'll get to see what happens next. Oh, all right. I think I do feel good about that setup. I feel like in the edit, I'll probably I might cut down some of that description a little bit more. See how it feels. I feel like this part of the story is definitely going to need a solid not rewrite, but really like fine tuning to make sure that the suspense is there and that the descriptions are believable while the action's still feeling like it's consistent and fast paced. So I felt great. That was awesome. Great writing sprint. All right. So awesome. Thank you for joining me so far in today's stream. Once again, my streaming time is every day from Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Saturday, Sunday, 2 p.m. So come and join me tomorrow. It'll be fun. And we're going to get some more writing done. I'm feeling like at the rate that I'm going, I'll probably hit the midpoint on probably by Sunday or Monday. What this looks like. I'm making pretty good progress at this part of the story. All right, so there's that banner. Drop that. And by the way, before I sign off, don't forget to like this stream on your way out. Tap that like button. Let me know that you enjoyed this and that you got some value out of it from the writing sprints, the discussion, or any of the advice in between. So get some writing done, stay inspired, and avoid writer's block. Good luck with your writing journey for the rest of the day. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Later, friends.